Hello there, welcome back to another video. So in this video today, we are going to talk about 5 new launches in the inspired section of our fragrances. Okay, so for the ones who are new to this channel, we do also have a very curated, inspired fragrance list where we have cult classics that I bring back into an inspired fragrance list to make it more affordable one for probably college going kids, and plus also easy on the pocket kind of platform. Second, I also want to use this platform to bring about fragrances that have got lost over the years, or bring back fragrances that rejuvenate with the current season and things of that nature. So during monsoon, two fragrance types are very popular. A lot of people like this. One is barbershop fragrances. Now barbershop fragrances predominantly because they are built around the DNA of fougères, right? So because fougères have a lot of citruses, they have a lot of oak moss, they might have vetiver or a patchouli, that kind of an element. So they kind of work really well during monsoon season. One. Second, the other note that really shines across during monsoon season or this kind of a weather is definitely vetiver. Okay, now the reason why this happens is during monsoon season, especially when it rains, there is no airflow that happens as such, and because of which there's a lot of stickiness in the air, there's a lot of humidity, and your typical citrus fragrances that you use during summers don't really work that well, and winter fragrances don't really shine so much because there's a lot of humidity in the air as well. So although temperatures are low, but because of the humidity they don't actually work so much. So during this point of time, it's best to use fragrances that are more monsoon friendly. So cuss or vetiver is one of those notes that works really well, and the other is definitely fougère fragrances, which are mostly barbershop fragrances that bring about this kind of a vibe. Now on this channel here, like I said, I do have inspired fragrances, so I do want to build a community that's where I can give back these kind of fragrances to you, to bring you back old classics. So last month, if you have been following this channel, you notice that we brought back denim. Okay, so this was a beautiful fragrance that will inspire you of the Axe denim or the classic denim aftershave. We also bought back Brute Musk as well. So this is another classic fragrance, and both of these fragrances are under 999 rupees for about 50 ml. You also get them in 10 mls as well, right? So these are very loud because these are old school charm, and a lot of people like these scents. So continuing on that tradition, so I've bought back two barbershop fragrance this time around. So one is the Old Spice. Okay, now the Old Spice, I will give you a brief about what kind of a scent this is. This is again in line with the Old Spice aftershave. Now if you want to get an idea of what kind of a fragrance this is, I'm sure you've tried or smelled aftershaves of Old Spice or the shaving foam of Old Spice, that will pretty much give you an idea how this fragrance smells like. This has that typical Old Spice kind of a vibe. It has those lovely nutmeg, it has a little bit of that cinnamon vibe, it has a little bit of a vanilla vibe as well, but a lot of lavender, aromatic, spicier nature. Not really sweet per se, but if you have tried any of the Old Spice aftershave or the shaving foam, you will pretty much easily identify yourself with that particular scent. And this is, you will easily see it in any of the barbershops or saloons that you go to. People use this for shaving even today. So it has that typical nuance of that particular fragrance. Now the good thing is this kind of smells very nice. It's very masculine, and in a in a monsoon weather, it kind of really shines well because it brings about that spicier element. It brings those fougère elements and kind of gives you a very beautiful approach. So when I did launch these two, the Brute Musk and the Denim X, a lot of people actually suggested that I should bring back the Old Spice as well. So that's the reason we bought back the Old Spice, and it's a beautiful fragrance again. Projects really good, last really long. So these are at about 30% concentration. So in terms of lasting, in terms of projection, they do really well. You will get about easily 6 to 8 hours of performance on these, and they have that old school charm as well. So you will actually kind of like them, right? So one was definitely the old school, Old Spice X that we bought back. Another one of my favorite barbershop fragrances that I've liked a lot is the fragrance from the house of Tom Ford called as Barbershop. Now, just to let you know that last year I did one dedicated video for barbershop fragrances, like a top 10 barbershop fragrances, and a lot of those fragrances from different inspired houses have been recommended there or listed there. Now, what used to also happen is that people, when they DM those Indian houses, probably did not get proper response, or there has been delay, all of that reasons, because of which I have been in a position where I can kind of curate these scents and have them ready to ship. So most of these scents are now available on our platform, where you can actually get them. So I'm using my platform as a, like I said, as a way to bring back fragrances to the community. So a lot of the fragrances that you see from that list are being bought back, and one of the fragrances that was there was definitely this fragrance from there, called as Tom Ford's Barbershop. Now here I'm calling this L'Homme Elegant, because I feel this is a fragrance that's a personification of a very elegant man, and I've kind of used a very good image of a very good looking man on the bottle as well, because I feel see, men are handsome and men are masculine, but there are also men who are extremely beautiful to look at. Beautiful is generally a word associated with women, but you will agree that a lot of men look very elegant in certain suits or certain certain attires. They carry themselves very well, and you want a fragrance that can resonate with that vibe, where you will say that it's masculine, but at the same time it's got elegance as well. And I think for me, Barbershop does just that, because this is a scent that has got a lot of citrus elements. It has a lot of vetiver, it has a lot of patchouli, it has a lot of spices coming from lavender extract, and all of those, making it absolutely wonderful. Now, Barbershop actually has a lot of spices like mint, basil, rosemary, oak moss, and patchouli as well, along with a lot of lavender. The lavender, the amber, the citrus elements comes together to give you a very unique scent. Almost has that typical soapy, powdery, lavendery vibe that you associate yourself with a good aftershave or a soapy, shaving foam as such, like the Old Spice, like the denim. They have those typical nuances of these kind of fragrances, and that's exactly why I called it, L'Homme Elegant. And this is a beautiful scent for you to wear, especially on a suit or or on a formal occasion, and where you would want to be associated with a modern man kind of a vibe, and still carrying with that rustic barbershop old school vibe. Then this is a fantastic scent to have. Now these scents, this is at about $12.49 for about 50 ml. You will also get them in the 10 ml variant as well, so you can definitely try it and get them. And another element is that I'm keeping them in limited numbers, so you'll probably have only about 15 of that. And I generally announce these to my community on WhatsApp, so in case you're not there, do join there, because you get an early access for these kind of activities that happen, right? So that's, yes, so this is a fantastic scent. This lasts absolutely wonderful. You get about 10-12 hours of lasting. Smells really wonderful, very masculine, old school. So those were two barbershop fragrances that I've launched this month. One is the Old Spice and the other is L'Homme Elegant, which is basically Tom Ford's Barbershop. Okay, now the other three fragrances that I'm doing are vetiver fragrances. Now, last year I did a full video on top vetiver fragrances as such, and I did have a couple of them, from inspired houses. Now, one of the challenges that I see with Middle Eastern fragrance houses is that barbershop and vetiver fragrances are absolutely minimal when it comes to Middle Eastern houses, be it Latafas, be it the Armaf. They do not really make these kind of fragrances because the number of takers or the number of people who associate with fragrances like this are minimal. They would generally go with mass appealing, hyped up fragrances as, inspired clones or whatever they make, right? So you don't find them. And this year I did not actually make this list of vetiver fragrances at all, because I did not really find anything extraordinarily good or any good vetiver Middle Eastern fragrances as such. So how do we fix the monsoon fragrance issue, right? So like I said, that's the reason I went ahead and bought these fragrances back. So I have bought back two inspired fragrances and one curated or bespoke collection. Okay, so the first fragrance is one of my favorite fragrances and of vetiver fragrances, is called Grey Sky. Now this is basically an inspiration of the Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. Now for me, the Grey Vetiver is the type of scent that brings a lot of happiness when you smell it. It has a very soapy kind of vibe, like think about, like, let's say a little bit like Medimix, okay, that kind of a soapy herbal vibe. So there's a lot of green element to it. There's a lot of vetiver. So vetiver cuss has a lot of earthiness to it, okay. Now in different formats, it could be creamy, like there is the Asian vetiver, there is the Java vetiver, then there is the Indian vetiver. There are a lot of different types of vetivers, but in essence, vetivers have a very earthy nuance, like a wet rain, you know, the petrichor kind of a smell that you would get also can be associated with vetiver, and that's one of the beauty of vetiver, why vetiver shines so well during a monsoon period. So this has a citrusy, lemony opening to it, and then it has this lovely green, spicier elements that come about and give you a very fresh kind of a vibe. Now, what makes Grey Vetiver a great scent is the inclusion of orris butter, pimento, a little bit of a sandalwood, and orris butter especially, which is associated with scents like Durum Intense or iris scents as such, gives a very creamy, buttery vibe to it, especially a very iris kind of a soft kind of a vibe. So along with a lot of citrus, grapefruits, and vetiver, and a little bit of an ambery element, this one is not sweet. This is mild. It has this beautiful earthy vibe to it, and some kind of a scent that gives you a beautiful feeling of calmness. And that's another element as well. Vetiver is known to bring about calmness in the body as well, so it kind of calms your senses as well. So that way vetiver is beautiful, and this is one of those scents that has that typical nuance of a vetiver that you would want and last all day. This is a beautiful scent and it kind of named Grey Skies because of the grey clouds that you see during monsoon season, when it's all dark and misty and all of that. So this is absolutely to resonate with that. So this is Grey Sky, an inspired version of the popular Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. Then I do have this, or this is called the Vintage Vetiver. Okay, now this is a cult classic when it comes to tobacco fragrances or rather vetiver fragrances, because this goes back to the Guerlain vintage edition of vetiver, which is I think in the 1940s or so. That's when this came out. So typically it has vetiver, which is again the same earthy vetiver, but what Guerlain did back then is to associate it or blend it with tobacco, pepper, and a little bit of a nutmeg and all of that. So it has a little bit of a spicier nature to it. It has a very dark nature to it. It has a lot of masculinity that comes across from a scent which is typical retro barbershop old school scents. Now it also has a citrus element, but it has lemon. So lemon, as you know, has a lot of bitter elements. So you can think about non-sweet, sour, spicy, earthy, with a little bit of a tobacco vibe to it. That's the kind of smell that this will resonate with. And typically this will be a scent that you would carry to call yourself a little mature. So mature kind of a scent, which will be fantastic, that you can definitely try out. Again, performance is solid. You get good 7-8 hours of performance on this one, and absolutely beautiful to try. This is Vintage Vetiver, a fragrance that's inspired from the Guerlain's, Vintage Vetiver as well. Okay. Then the last fragrance that I'm bringing out this year in the vetiver section is called Vetiver Smoke. Okay, now this is a bespoke creation. This was something that I worked with a perfumer who made all of these scents, and trying to bring back something which was totally different. So this is a vetiver fragrance but made differently. This is basically a fragrance that has a lot of green elements. Okay, so a lot of green vibe that you get, the leafy green, earthy, mossy vibe, a lot of oak moss in it, and a lot of let's say minty accords to it, right? So this is a scent that almost gives you an instance of freshness, okay, but with a little bit of a spicier element. So there's a lot of mint, there's a lot of basil, there's a lot of lavender, there's a lot of oak moss, ambery elements, and a little bit of sweetness as well. Now the sweetness kind of basically comes because of the minty accord that is there, and a lot of woody elements. Now they are all completely different from each other. All of the three vetiver fragrances are different, but Aside to the minty element, aside to the earthy element, this also has a kind of a nuance of smoke. Okay, so typically think about a monsoon season, it's raining and you have lit, let's say outdoors, you have a fire that's going on, maybe in one of the sheds, maybe in the olden times when you would boil water, right, in those large tanks for bathing and all of that. So when that smoke is going up in the rainy time, there's a different kind of a smell that you get in the air, right? Now that's the note that I wanted to hit. And that's where I feel this has got a lot of smoky element. It's got a little bit of a mint. It's got a little bit of freshness. It's got that earthy rain petrichor vibe as well. So overall, it kind of smells a little more sharper, a little more fresher, and a little more greener as such. And that's why it's called a vetiver smoke. Okay. Now these vetiver fragrances and the Tom Ford's Barbershop alternate L'Homme Elegant all are available at $12.49 for 50 ml, and you also get the 10 ml for about $400. And the classic barbershop fragrances, the Denim, the Brut, and the Old Spice is available at $9.99. And we have a lot of other fragrances like Ganymede, like Bleu de Chanel, and a lot of the other fragrances under the inspired fragrance section, where you can definitely have a look at and try them as well. And we have fragrances for women as well. But these scents that I'm talking about today are all fragrances made for men. Most importantly, do also let me know what are the fragrances that you'd like me to bring back or as such, because the next series that I'm thinking to bring back is about 5 tobacco fragrances and maybe another barbershop fragrance from the niche house Roja. Okay, so let's try and give you support and to bring back this, and I'll see you on another video. Until another time, take care. Bye bye.